Alexander, when he conquered Egypt, he had conquered Persia first. So he defeated the Persian and enacted all the Persian and Assyrian empire. And so at that time now, Alexander, son of Philip of Macedonia, became the strongest ruler in the known world, in the Western world here. And so he ruled Kemet. I think he became too Kemet to because he went through a initiation, became a Kemetic priest, married an African woman, and you know he was a homosexual, he was gay, he had his white lovers, and they were mad at him for that. So here he is with his black wife, walking around talking about he's the son of Amun. And you see those the coins were printed with him with the Amun. So he was getting too black. So they poisoned him and got rid of him, and they divided his nation up. So he had the Syrian, the nation of Persia, Assyria, the nation of Greek and Rome, and then Kemet. So General Salter called the meeting where all his generals come together and killed them all. And so he became the sole ruler after that, and then called himself Ptolemy. And Ptolemy just means king, and his queen would be Cleopatra. So Cleopatra is a title, and Ptolemy is like Ptolemy, Philadelphia. The city of Philadelphia is named after one of the Ptolemies of ancient Egypt, who was a Greek. You had Cleopatra Bernice. So I just want you to know. So you had 7 Cleopatras and 14 Ptolemies before the Romans put a close to all of that. The Romans came in 32 and 30 BCE. So for 300 years, the Greek Macedonians ruled. And so no more black rulers are on from then on. That's the end of the black rulers. There won't be another black man that rules there until Sadat in Egypt. So you had the Greeks, then the Romans. But I need to say this, the Greeks sat at the feet of the Africans. They studied, they wanted to be like these Africans. Even during this time, you weren't a real scholar unless you was black. Socrates, Aristotle, Thales, the first Greek philosopher, 640 BC, studied for 20 years. In fact, they need to read the book Stolen Legacy. George G.M. James, he was killed because of the information he put in that book. In fact, even Dr. Ben was against him for putting some of that stuff in it because they belonged to a certain brotherhood and that information wasn't. But I used to say, come on, if he didn't spill the beans, we wouldn't even know. So, you know, his death is not in vain. He opened up our eyes. There's no such thing as Greek philosophy. It's stolen African philosophy. And if you really study the so-called Greek philosophers, you will find out that they were all persecuted in Greece. They were stoned, driven out for teaching foreign thought. See, so they didn't even call it Greek philosophy. Only in the modern era, we call it Greek philosophy. 1799, 1798 is when Napoleon sacked Egypt and began to stealing all of this. And then the British defeated the French and took their stuff. Because you have to understand, Egyptology was created during this enslavement period of Africans. So the French took so much stuff, they had to create the Louvre Museum. They didn't have no place to put all the stuff they stole. And then the British took half their stuff, and the British was stealing everybody's stuff all around the world. So they had to create the British Museum. And their little brother, the Americans, was in on the deal. So they had to create the Metropolitan and the Brooklyn Museum and the Boston Museum and the museum in California and the Rosicrucian Museum. So they got 5 or 6 here in America. So all of them were in cahoots together. Can't just put the blame on one. It's all the Europeans. All Europeans benefited from the enslavement of African people. So you might have some Europeans say, oh, well, we weren't enslaving nobody. No, but all of y'all benefited from our enslavement. And none of y'all came to our aid. So all of y'all are guilty. You understand? All of y'all are guilty.